Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran. It's about that time we got some sort of class balance tunings underway. We have some buffs and slight nerfs, mostly to the legendaries. After the first week of the tier being out, after the heroic week, Blizzard usually swoops in and likes to slap some buffs and nerfs around. And this is where we all cower, hoping that our favorite, most fun, the most broken builds don't get nerfed, and some of the weakest specs that really need some love do get the love they need. Today we got a small version of that update, mostly having to do with the Covenant Legendaries, which will be available very soon once you get high enough renown. Covenant Legendaries seem to modify your Covenants, further trying to balance out your Covenants a little bit closer, hopefully to one another, buffing certain abilities that might seem weaker in order to make them better. And some of these Covenant abilities are really strong. So let's take a look at some of the changes that they're doing to the Covenant abilities, the buffs and the nerfs, and how it might affect your class going forward in patch 9.1. First we got Death Knights, and the first impression of their Covenant Legendaries wasn't too impressive. However, we did see buffs for the Kyrian where you do get more damage stacks and up to a higher number from 10% maximum to 15, as well as a longer duration, which could potentially mean that maybe the DPS Death Knights could get some value. Night Fae Strength buff is also stacked even more. As someone who plays Fade Death Knight, I think it might be okay. Ventier does see a significant 12% buff, and that one I think could be really good in big AoE situations, so buffs for Death Knights all around. For Demon Hunters, the Night Fae one actually looks quite interesting because the legendary during your hunt activates Immolation Aura, which lets you synergize with Unbound Chaos Talent, which lets your Fel Rush do a ton of damage. And you can then follow up with your own Immolation Aura and then Fel Rush right after, giving you an interesting combo with extra agility. Could be potentially great in big AoE situations. Same thing goes for the Ventier version. It extends the duration of your Sinful Brand with I-Beam, which is great for single target and particularly good in AoE situations. Druids are receiving two buffs, one for the Kyrian. The stat bonus that it provides you is increased, where it's a stat bonus that gives you extra stats to you and the ally you linked with, depending on which covenant you are. And the master rating is also increased quite a bit, which could mean potentially in smaller group situations, those extra stats could be quite valuable. Night Fae is also an interesting one, where the legendary normally reads, Night Fae ability Convoke the Spirits has half the cooldown but also half the duration. They're changing it to only 75 the duration, which gives you more of that duration but also more uses, so more value from Convoke, very synergetic with some of the soul binds of Night Fae. And I think potentially this could be really good in very niche situations. Then we have the Hunter. The Night Fae Legendary is making a sensible change to make it 100% proc rate, where if you're using your Night Fae Covenant ability and you're hitting 4 or less targets, it will strike those targets a secondary time. Could be really good in single target situations if the sims allow for it. Then you got the Ventier. Damage has been increased significantly with that bleed, and the radius is increased also for quality of life. Personally very excited to check out that Ventier playstyle because I always thought the Survival Hunter with that extra Ventier legendary that gives you a bleed on kill commands kind of plays into the old school heavy dot Survival Hunter from the old days. Very excited to see how well that one works out in AoE and cleave situations. For Priest, we're seeing the Kyrian legendary allowing you for even more cooldown reduction, where that legendary was normally capped to 60 seconds, so a 3-minute cooldown can become potentially a 2-minute cooldown. Now it's actually increased to 80 seconds, which means you can get even more value out of Sphere's Harmony legendary. Very excited to check that one out. Big fan of the big cooldown reduction abilities. Then the Ventier legendary, upon expiration of your Shadow Ward Mind Games, if it was able to take out all of its reverse damage or healing, then you were able to get a pretty sizable crit buff. This one could still be kind of okay to synergize with some of the Priest burst damage, but definitely not as strong as the original Ventier legendary first introduced way back in the day on PTR, so we'll see how well this one will pan out. Then we have Mages, where the Kyrian legendary transforms your Covenant ability to also do splash AoE damage. That get buffed slightly, not sure if that'll get too much more play, but it looks decent. Night Fae ability provides you a haste and crit buff, and that duration is going to be longer. And finally, the Ventier one gives you more cooldown reduction to your mirror, whereas a Fire Mage, every time you Fire Blast, you get your mirror back quicker. Every time you get a proc for Brain Freeze or proc for Missiles as Arcane, you get your mirror back quicker. I think out of all these, they look kind of alright, but it doesn't really seem that mages were focusing or even trying out those legendaries back on PTR. I wonder if that will change going into this update with these changes. Maybe the Venthyr one will be good because generally cooldown reduction to powerful abilities tends to be decent down the line. Then we have monks with Necrolord ability, where you have a chance to just randomly proc your Covenant ability. That chance has been slightly increased, which could make Necrolord a little bit better, particularly in AoE cleave situations, but also could be good utilitarian-wise for healers and tanks. Venthyr, they're giving you even more cooldown reduction for your Venthyr ability. Every time your monk crits, you'll now reduce the cooldown of their ability by 5 seconds instead of 3 while the ability is used. So that could be really interesting to synergize it better for Windwalker cooldowns, to synergize better with Zoan, but also could be good for the utilitarian / healing purposes for the other specs of monks as well. For rogues, we have the wild card of Nightfade Toxic Onslaught. When you use your Nightfade ability and then you get the free stealth ability. After you use a stealth ability, you either gain Adrenaline Rush, Shadow Blades, or Vendetta on the enemy, and that duration has been increased to 12 seconds, which could be pretty good. Very RNG, very wild card, but I wonder if that one will be kind of moderately okay if you get super lucky with the buffs and debuffs. Then the Venthyr ability for Obedience is getting cut in half for the versatility. This one was extremely strong going into patch 9.1. I see why Blizzard is nerfing it. This one is really busted strong. We'll see how much of an effect it will have when it comes to rogues choosing their best covenant. But yeah, rogues, what looks like best single target legendary in all covenants, is getting quite a bit of a chunk out of it. Next, we have the Shaman, where the current ability will actually be increased by a whole 50%. I was actually very excited to play with Raging Vesper. That one is interesting because when you drop down your Vesper totem, when you spend 3 healing charges or damage charges, the totem erupts for even more damage that's uncapped. It was super fun to test with Mythic Pluses, so I cannot wait to see what it's like overall. Nightfall one has been adjusted as well, gives slightly more crit, even though that one didn't seem super strong. Is going to give you slightly more Feral Spirits cooldown for enhancement. We'll see if that will end up making itself to be a little bit stronger. And the Necrolord one, which is one of the lesser talked legendaries for Shamans, is also getting a bigger haze buff. Maybe with a short cooldown of the Necrolord ability, we might actually see some Shamans running it here and there. For Warlocks, the only one we're seeing is Venthyr getting buffed. The Impending Catastrophe's damage increase has been increased to 125 instead of baseline 75, which also is increased by 15% per target that it hits on the way to the primary target. They're really trying to make Venthyr Warlock even any kind of way better. I don't know if this legendary could make Venthyr good ever, but I'm still hoping this will somehow be good because this is one of the rarest combos, a Venthyr Warlock. Something you almost never ever see, and hopefully Blizzard can somehow make it kind of okay. Then we have Warriors and what looked like to be the arguably strongest legendary, especially as Fury Warrior. When you condemn, increase the duration of your Recklessness or your Colossus Smash or your Last Stand as a prod. For Fury in particular, it looks like it is getting nerfed a little. I don't know if this nerf will affect arms and prod. That's something that we haven't been able to test since the nerfs aren't in yet, but that's going to be interesting. Slight nerf, and I still think it's going to be a decent legendary, but when it comes to making that your best single target raid Lego, that is going to shift the meta a little. I wonder if it'll have that much of an impact, but it is a nerf regardless. Later in the week, we're likely to hear about even more class adjustments, PvE as well as PvP tuning, maybe some Mythic Plus tuning, maybe even soul binds and legendary tunings as the Tuesday, Wednesday rolls around. But until now, that's all we have for the changes. Blizzard is trying to do majority buffs for a lot of these legendaries with some small nerfs here and there. I'm hoping they pan out because the more choices we have, or the more decent, okay, maybe even somewhat viable options we have in Covenant choices and different legendaries, the better in my opinion. So hopefully they're able to at least, you know, bring the differences together a little bit rather than having some specs and classes be as apart as they are. But anyway, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Let me know what you think about these updates. Do you think you're actually going to try any of these legendaries after they saw some of the buffs? Let me know which ones you're excited for in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in the next one.